Thanks for coming out. I'll give you, instead of running through page by page, I'll try and give you just some highlights. To follow on what Greg was saying, the Hosamine Fault is a deep crustal fault right in the, let me see if I get this working here, in the Coquihalla Gold Belt. And in fact, I could have you on the property in an hour and a half if we walked out the door and got in a car. That's how close it is. We're only 18 kilometers northeast of Hope off the Coquihalla Highway. But to speak more directly to the property, as you see from this map, we've got a very large land package, approximately 144 square kilometers, long and narrow because it straddles the Hosamine Fault. And the property contains 5 historic mines, one of which is the Carolin mine, which for some of you who are been around the business for a while, you'll recognize it as a mine that originally went into production in '82, and when gold took a nosedive in '84, they shut down. And it's changed hands and was split up over the years, and we were able to consolidate title and put it all back together, do some rehabilitation on the underground, and just recently this summer we started, had a small drill program to do some confirmation drilling on the historic database, which is very big. We have, that by itself is a very good asset. But the property contains, as I said, 5 historic gold mines and 24 other known gold occurrences. And the interesting thing is it's an orogenic deposit. It's the closest analog geographically is Braylorn, but it's even a better analog for the Mother Lode. Both of those are multi-ounce gold camp producers, and the property has the additional advantage of having power nearby, having water nearby, having extensive underground development still in the Carolin mine. We've maintained the production permit. We've maintained the tailings facility, which has considerable capacity. So if you're going to check boxes for a project, we basically check them all but for the resource. And even then, we have an existing resource in the underground of just under 300,000 ounces. That is slightly higher than the production grades that they produced back in the 80s. We've got a smaller resource in their tailings, and we've got an additional surface resource of another 75,000 ounces. The highlight of the property clearly is the Carolin mine, which allows us to drill year-round because we can drill underground, and in fact we still have a drill sitting in the underground, and our goal is to get back drilling some new targets that were announced recently to build on that resource. But we also want to do some surface drilling. We're working up targets to drill some of the historic mines and some of the known occurrences. One of the historic that will probably be the first surface target that we go after is the Emancipation, which is they produced 3,000 ounces out of that property. But all of these historic mines and the operations were almost, some of them more than 100 years ago. So we're talking a large land package that, but for the Carolin mine, has been relatively underexplored with modern techniques, and the old workings were basically artisanal. We're not talking about major commercial production in any of these, so the structures really haven't been fully tested, and they haven't been depleted. So the goal for this coming year is to get out, test the underground targets, to build on a resource, and to start stepping out for these other grounds. I can't emphasize too much the fact that it's really our milestones are going to come with the drill bit. We have everything in place to, well, I shouldn't say that. If we're going to go into production, we'd have to build a new mill or rehabilitate the existing mill, and probably would be building a new one. But for that, we really don't have to go through most of the hurdles that other juniors starting up have to go through to get to a cash flow. We just need to build on that resource, we're a good way along the way. We don't need to build as big a resource as another junior would have to, who needs to also be able to justify a capex of building a tailings facility, doing the underground development, and all those things that are taken care of in our project right now. We did a small 13-hole drill program, mostly confirmation drilling to refine our targets last year, and the target, as I said, it's an orogenic deep plunging deposit that we're working with, and we've got these extensions that really are still relatively close to surface that we are going to be able to continue on. And if they stick with the analog of the Braylorn or the mother lode, we should expect that those will run very deep, and the deeper we go, we expect to continue hitting mineralization. This shows you some of the better drill intersections over the years, but in addition to that, a lot of these old surface workings and surface showings had some crazy high grade. Probably the best of which is the Montana, which is one of the targets we also want to test this year. Apparently, the old miners back in about 1925 took 2 tons out of that particular location and recovered 1,100 grams, so it's like over 15 ounces in that. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that's what we expect to find everywhere we go, but it gives you an idea that this property is, the big plumbing system being the Josemine Fault has brought the gold up all over on our property, some of which has been, people have been able to recover, and most of which still has to be tested. The property has a 12-month access road. We've got hydro and power and water access to it. As I said, we've got a tailings facility that we maintain and is permitted, and we go through all the regulatory hurdles every year with the government to maintain it. More importantly, though, to get started, if you look at the underground, we have extensive underground is stable and is in very good shape, and where we needed to, we've done the rehabilitation, so we are doing underground drilling, and it's available for mining. The property, we wouldn't have to build a camp. We're only 18 kilometers away from Hope, so we have access to all the services in Hope and rail and whatnot. So it really just requires us to get out with the drill bit this coming year, and that's our goal, is to test the extensions in the underground and to start out in some of the surface targets that we're drilling right now. For those of you who want to ask the more detailed questions, everything's in place with an environmental permit or bond. The community's on side, and we have access basically everywhere on this property due to the historical logging and ongoing logging that's happening there right now. So again, we are in a position to move forward with the drill, and that's really our only hurdle. This time last year, we did a 10-for-1 share consolidation, and with the financings we've done in the last year, brings us right now to just under 32 million shares. I believe it closed yesterday at 21 cents. So we think we're very well structured, and it represents a value opportunity for those who appreciate those metrics. The current board is myself and Robert Lund, who is an experienced financial market fellow. Chris Taylor's on our board, who you may have heard speak yesterday. He runs Great Bear. And Richard Gillard, another experienced public company fellow. And we've got an advisory board with, as you'd expect, the engineers that are the resource that keep, or the reference resource that keep us pointed in the right direction in determining what we need to do to make the shortest path between here and making a production decision and a PEA. With that, I'll turn it over to Greg. Thank you.